Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of the Grandstand here on the Hot Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR the Hot Patriot, and for today's episode, we're going to talk about pregnancy contracts to save the unborn. So, for those who don't know what I'm talking about in this whole situation, basically, ever since issue 1, ever since the Democrats literally cheated it through yesterday, you have a bunch of other douchebag leftists being like, oh, the fucking right and the center should just give us free shit on demand, that it's all taxpayer funded stuff. If they want us to have abortions here, okay, cool. Then sign a fucking pregnancy contract. And if you don't fulfill your end of the contract, guess what? You gotta pay back every dime that you've taken. And you also face prison time for murdering a kid. It's as simple as that, man, really, truthfully. So, yeah, we're gonna talk about a few things here, obviously, for those who haven't seen it yet. We basically have mass voter fraud across the board in 4 or 5 states at least last night. They did in every state they pretty much could. It was here in Ohio, it was in Pennsylvania, it was in Kentucky, it was in Virginia, etc., etc., etc. Anybody that had any kind of leftist shit on their ballot basically got passed last night because, again, when you're using, machinery that's tied directly to globalists, it's not hard to fucking figure out, dude, honestly. So, but, yeah, you also have, quote, vacate, or hashtag vacate. Republicans call on Ronna McDaniel, aka Mitt Romney's dipshit niece, to resign following Tuesday's election. She should, first of all, this is the problem when you have the chair of a committee of some kind or whatever, dude. It should be the party people at that point, like the voter base is what I'm talking about, should be the ones choosing that person, not a bunch of fucking insiders that are like 10, 12, 14 seats, whatever it is, being like, okay, I vote for this person now. They're going to be the RNC chair or DNC chair, whatever it's going to be. No, it should be the actual voter base being like, here's, 3, 4 choices to choose from that are like the short list of people, or whatever the case be, have actively put their names in the race for the whole thing is what it is, or whatever. And yeah, it's whoever gets the most votes then wins directly, dude, is what it is. So it's a bunch of BS entirely. Ronna had no business ever being in the fucking thing. She is a giant fucking scumbag grifter, cunt rhino, just like her fucking cunt rhino piece of shit uncle Mitt Romney is. And yeah, the whole fucking family's a bunch of goddamn scumbags, dude, for real. They're just there to fucking steal money and take fucking every dime that they can and siphon it off people right now is what it is. They're a bunch of leeches is what it really is, honestly, at the end of the day. She openly, in the last couple of years before she was, put back into that position of power there, was openly stealing a fuck ton of funds for the RNC to do like private plane rides and stuff everywhere. And it's like, how is that not alone an automatic booting from the thing? And also, for that matter, potentially being charged with theft of funds and stuff like that while holding an office, if that be the case. Because it wouldn't actually be holding elected office, but it'd be holding like, a position that potentially could be, construed as something that would be, since it is political thing and it's like an actual national thing or whatever the case be. I'm pretty sure it could actually be federal felonies at that point, or damn close to it anyway, at least federal misdemeanors anyway. So, yeah, it's absolute bullshit that Ron McDonald's not currently in prison for something right now over this whole thing. Like I said, at bare minimum, it should be a whole thing where you have to pay back every dime she took, basically, is what it is. So, but, yeah, so basically, leftists are jerking each other off today because they were like, oh, we totally won, Ohio's pro-choice state. No, we're not, retards. And I actually got into people at Breitbart, too, for that matter, because I was like, they're like, oh, majority of Ohioans chose this. No, we didn't. What you had was the majority of Democrat hell pockets choose this bullshit. When you have 800,000 plus of the 2 million fucking votes come out of that whole thing for the Vote Yes campaign that came from 4 fucking major cities in Ohio, being Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Dayton, aka the 3 C's and the D, that's a huge fucking problem. And then when you start looking at where the rest of the damn votes came from, it was like a couple 100,000 from Toledo area, which is another leftist hell pocket, by the way. And then you see what come down from my area here in Stark County, because Stark County holds both basically Akron and Canton in it too, for that matter. So we have 2 little fucking mini hell pockets here. And you had like 60-something thousand from here in Canton. And then there was like, or no, sorry. I want to say technically Akron falls into Summit County. So yeah, you had Stark County, which is Canton area. You had that have 60-something thousand added to that mix. And then you had like another fucking, 60, 80,000, whatever it was there, added from the Akron area. So it's like, dude, that's where it's coming from. It's all coming from Democrat hellholes is what it is in the state. Meanwhile, all the people in the rural area that voted against the thing, the only reason we don't have the votes to vote against it, honestly, is because too many fucking people, instead of voting for every single election cycle they can, are just like, oh no, I'm only going to come out every 2 years or every 4 years for a presidential race, or every 2 years for a midterm election, and then a presidential race after that, every 2 years, whatever it's going to be after that, you know? So yeah, you have these 2 year, 4 year voter blocks that don't give a shit about off-year elections, which is exactly why shit like this should never be allowed to be on a fucking ballot, number one, at all. And if it isn't on a fucking ballot at all, it needs to be on either a presidential election year, or it needs to be on a midterm election year, where you know damn well you're going to have voter bases on both sides come out in droves, dude. Because that's the thing. That's exactly why these sneaky sons of bitches, that's why these fucking Bloomberg and Soros fucking Nazi pieces of shit went out there and did this bullshit in 2023, an off-year election, because they knew goddamn well this was going to be the only fucking time that they could find enough Gen Z little fucksticks up in Cleveland, down in Columbus, down in Cincinnati, over in Dayton, etc., to vote this fucking horse shit through is what it was, dude. And their fucking retard parents who are either older ass millennials or the younger kids from Gen X is what it is there. And that's the problem right now. That's who the fucking voter blocks were in the situation. It was the moms debate action types and their fucking retarded piece of shit kids is what it is, dude. That were voting for this garbage. So, anyway, it's the same exact crew as the anti-gunner crew, basically, is what it is, dude. Who, by the way, if we actually had the same amount of voters that we had during Trump's, 2020 run, like two and a half years ago, give or take now is what it is, they would have never won here. You had over 6 million people in that race come out. Last night, there was roughly 4 million. You add in 2 million more on either side of the fucking thing, and it's a whole new ball game. Hell, you even add 1 million on each side, dude. It's a whole new fucking ball game. And that's the thing. Like I was telling my mom even, and she was telling her friend actually that lives in the town over from ours. You take out Franklin County that had 300,000 yes votes or so in it. You take out that one, and you take out, I believe it was Cuyahoga County, Cleveland area. That was like another 160, 70,000 votes, something like that. You take out those two major cities, the left doesn't win this fucking race, dude. They don't win this issue one at all. Because that's how close the damn thing was. It only took 2, maybe at most 3 major cities to swing the fucking shit, dude. And this is the problem. This is the problem when these are the same goddamn places in this fucked up country right now that are the most crime-ridden hellholes in this entire nation right now, dude. There's a reason why every single one of these places is run by Democrats. There's a reason why every single one of these places is one of the biggest, most retarded fucking crime-ridden hellholes ever. And it's because all these fucking people do is embezzle, fucking steal elections, do all kinds of other shady shit, attack gun rights, attack other constitutional rights, for that matter, in the Bill of Rights. Which, by the way, I don't care what these fucking leftist douchebags say, you have no right to a legal abortion. It's not a constitutional right, you fucking retards. It's not going to be a constitutional right here either, you fucking retard pieces of shit. Because guess what, assholes? The GOP in Ohio right now, they're already fucking working on basically returning this bullshit right now, dude, entirely. And they can easily do it, by the way. All you have to do is say, hey, remember that 240-year-old document called Marbury versus Madison, an actual case law from our founding fathers' day, that literally says anything that can be looked at as if it is unconstitutional should be looked at as written to begin with? Guess what? That's what issue 1 is, motherfuckers. Marbury versus Madison, 1803. Bang, done, gone. Fucking kick that shit the fuck out of here, dude, entirely. That's all it takes, man. One lawsuit under Marbury versus Madison, over fucking turned immediately. And I'll tell you exactly why that is. And then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the actual video here. Will be here. So, when you look at what was actually said at the end of the ballot language, which I guess I don't know if I missed this part of it, or actually maybe I read it and just kind of glanced over it when I was reading the actual ballot issue a while ago. So we're over here on Breitbart right now, and you had them bring up the whole thing of what this did. It said, ballot issue put forward by Ohioans United for Reproductive Rights, which, by the way, those are going to be the people I'm going to be suing the shit out of and potentially having charged criminally with terrorism here, because they're the ones that were actively fucking threatening people, being like, essentially, vote yes or else. We're going to dox you is basically what they're telling us on our answering machine yesterday after we voted already. Yeah, by those people, so the coalition comprised of far-left groups such as URGE, the ACLU of Ohio, which is a Soros fucking proxy, and Planned Parenthood Advocates for Ohio, said would also, and here's the 5 talking points, create legal protections for any person or entity that assists a person with receiving reproductive medical treatment, including but not limited to abortion. So that basically means doctors, nurses, any kind of staff, essentially. If you're going to a Planned Parenthood, it's like I think they call them escorts or whatever the case be. They're going out to the parking lot to like find you is what it is there. So they can basically sweep you past all the pro-life people telling you, please don't kill your kid in the womb. And then it would be prohibit the state from directly or indirectly burdening, penalizing, or prohibiting abortions before an unborn child is determined to be viable unless the state determines that it is using the least reproductive or restrictive means. Part 3, grant a pregnant woman's treating physician the authority to determine on a case-by-case basis whether the unborn child is viable. 4, only allow the state to prohibit an abortion after an unborn child is determined by a pregnant woman's treating physician to be viable, and only if the physician does not consider the abortion necessary to protect the woman's life or health. And, this is the final one that I was talking about here, always allow an unborn child to be aborted at any stage of pregnancy, regardless of viability, if, in the treating physician's determination, so they can basically just lie their asses off within this situation here, the abortion is necessary to so-called protect the woman's health or life. This is exactly the piece of this piece of shit, by the way, that will be used to do mass genocide in the state of Ohio right now. If this is allowed to take effect in 30 days right now. Period. That's all that's going to happen there. It will legitimately fuck over everybody is what it will do. Because you're going to have so many of these fucking scumbag-ass leftist so-called physicians. They're all, by the way, they're all Planned Parenthood people who are medically licensed in the state of Ohio, which they shouldn't be at this point. And that's the thing that pisses me off about the GOP, honestly, here, dude. Grow some goddamn balls and throw some medical licenses, dude. And start with that fucking cunt, Anita Samani, who's one of the people in the General Assembly right now, by first of all, stripping her medical license, and then secondly, throwing her fucking ass out of the goddamn state house, dude. For literally fucking transitioning small children and doing fucking all kinds of crimes community is what it is then. And then charge her fucking ass criminally with those damn charges is what it is, dude. You charge her criminally and you throw her in a fucking prison cell in this state. Period. And then you sit there and keep throwing a bunch of fucking piece of shit Planned Parenthood cunts in the wither is what it is there. Until the entire fucking block is full. But anyway. So yeah, you know damn well that's going to be used for that shit, dude. And then what it even says, and then what it even talks about here with the money from out of state and stuff like that. It was almost every single dollar, the $40 million, by the way, was all Bloomberg and Soros from out of state of Ohio, dude. None of it was actually from here in Ohio. Yeah, it says pro-abortion side massively outraised opponents of issue 1. Campaign filings from Ohioans United for Reproductive Rights shows they brought in nearly $29 million from donors since September 8th, most of which were out of state, by the way. Like I said, Soros, Bloomberg, etc. proxies. Associated Press reported, meanwhile, pro-life groups rallying against the measure had raised just under $10 million in the same exact period. Largest donations backing the abortion amendment since September 8th came from out-of-state groups, including $5.3 million from Arabella Advisors, aka the 1630 Project, which is a known DC. Yeah, here it is now. Yeah, so the DC-based dark money group. The report states. So here's the thing about 1630 Project too, by the way. They're fucking child molesters, legitimately. They all have ties to Obama, and the main guy was with Obama at some fucking kid raping party at one point in time in history. By the way, the reason I know this shit is because the motherfucker admitted it on camera. That he was with Obama raping fucking kids. Just like the same exact thing with Chrissy Teigen years ago, admitting that her piece of shit husband John Legend and Obama were all at some other fucking event there, the White House or whatever the fuck it was. Again, raping children. And these are all the same sick fucks, by the way, that were trying to stick their fucking noses in Ohio's business and be like, hey everybody, go vote yes on issue 1. Why are we not charging these sick sons of bitches with crimes against humanity and child molestation at this point? Seriously. That's my serious question to everybody out there, dude. It needs to be fucking done already. Enough is enough of this shit, man. Seriously. Anyway, it says Vote Yes campaign also received $3.5 million from New York-based Open Society Policy Center, aka George Soros. Said ACLU, another Soros proxy based in New York City, gave the pro-abortion coalition $2 million, according to the report as well. So yeah, it's all out-of-state funding, dude, to the tune of over $10 million right there. And that's just what they're talking about here. I guarantee it's more than that. I guarantee it's like the majority of that $29 million is from out of state is what it is, dude. So, and now of course you got all these fucksticks attacking the Republican supermajority here, and then talking about like all these leftists are now on their little fucking high horse, being all like, "Oh, now's the time to fucking redistrict," and basically saying without saying, gerrymander Ohio a leftist state, basically. Never gonna fucking happen, cunts, because as we're gonna talk about tomorrow, the entire basically gist of Buckshot Thursday right now is gonna talk about one county, one rep in the state of Ohio, and exactly why I'll be working with people very, very soon here in the next couple of days to start firing up actual language. And I'm talking about legitimately, I'm gonna call up a lawyer here in the next day or two and be like, hey, how much is it gonna cost for you to actually write this out for me? And just do like some lawyer language of the whole thing. And then we'd basically get that as a ballot issue, hopefully next year for hopefully the May ballots, but I'm not 100% sure if it'll be on that one though, or if it'd be till November of 2024, so it'll be then, because it's basically you have two different time periods you can get in there. I know it has to be like X amount of days before that. I don't know if it's 100, if it's 90 days or 120 days, what it is though, but it's one of those things where it's like I'd like to get on the May ballot primaries, honestly, if I can, because it needs to be on there, and it really is time for one county, one rep, dude, is what it is, and that's the thing. The left loses so many seats of power if that happens. The only reason they hold 30 plus seats in our General Assembly right now for our state house and 7 seats in our state Senate is because of fucking gerrymandering blue, dude. They gerrymander all these major cities blue so they can have extra seats of power in them, especially with the state house side. Like I said before, it's like 9 or 10 up in Cleveland, like 7 or 8 over in Cincinnati, and then like another 10 or 12 in Columbus, and a few over here in Dayton, and a couple over in Toledo and stuff like that. But yeah, if we actually had things where it was a one county, one rep legislation for all 80 counties, you would have, first of all, 11 people right off the bat kicked out of fucking Ohio's General Assembly at that point, or the state house side. And then on top of that, you would then have everybody that's already in power basically have to sort of, districts get redrawn, and they sort of solidify then, where it's just like, no, you now control this county, this person controls that county, and it's like, it doesn't matter what the numbers of the county are, dude. Like, that's who your constituents are, is what it is. And that's the entire point, too, by the way. One thing shouldn't matter if someone has 1 million people or whatever their constituency is, and another person has, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, whatever the case be then. It doesn't matter, dude. It's by county. The number should not matter for voter base, is what it is. All that should matter is there's one rep for every single county, and that's it. So, anyway, but yeah, to go what I was going to talk about though with this whole thing with the whole pregnancy contract thing. So basically, going back to good old leftist ass Reddit, you had this fucking stupid cunt right here talk about what's the Ohio pro-life lobby's next move. They have always focused on nothing but the law and hid behind flimsy efforts to help poor people, poor and young women who are pregnant, which is bullshit. The flimsy effort thing is fucking a lie to entirely, dude. And then she said, will they pivot to supporting causes that actually reduce abortions, such as sex education, which is an absolute lie, by the way. There's actually historical fact that before the sex education was put into high schools and stuff like that, back in the, I believe it was early 70s, kids were not fucking each other at all. It wasn't until like a year or two after sex education was introduced into public education that now all of a sudden you had a bunch of kids start fucking each other like crazy, and you had a rise in teen pregnancies. You had a rise in, abortions back then, obviously under Roe versus Wade and shit, et cetera, when it became a thing. And that's the entire problem right now, dude, is it all coalesces back to a fucking Marxist ideology is what it is. And that's what it's always been at the end of the day. The entire point of the left is, dude, the entire point of their so-called progressivism is nothing more than to bring in a communist fucking nation. It's exactly why in a matriarchal society, which is what we are right now, which obviously die out very quickly, by the way, because they either go into full-blown fucking, like, war against each other, tribal warfare style, or it's something where it's like you live for a couple of years over the case, but it always again ends in some kind of fucking warfare at the end of the day is what it is there, and then you basically kill each other is what it ends up being then. And so that's exactly what we're living in right now, and because of that shit, what we're going to see right now, again, going to what we've talked about for months on this channel, it's going to be a Civil War II, it's going to be a World War III scenario, it's going to be a potential revolution at some point, it's going to be a bunch of stuff all combined into one, it's going to be tribalistic warfare, etc., and people are not going to know what's happening until it happens, dude. And that's what I've been saying for years now, honestly, with the pendulum swing. You got the tick's gone up all the way to this side, and when it comes back down to the left, dude, those bolts that were holding the shit in place, they're going to snap apart, and it's going to go flying everywhere. That pendulum's going to go swinging everywhere. It's going to be like a fucking boomerang kind of thing almost. And it's going to take out every single person in its wake. Nobody on any political side, left, right, center, independent, libertarian, Green Party, whatever the case be, none of them are going to leave unscathed. Everybody's going to get hit with something of it, man. It might not be like and the thing is, it might not be like direct hits or whatever the case be. It might be the blowback. It might be the shock wave that smacks them and knocks them over, or whatever the case be, which would be like the after effects is what it would be then. But yeah, everything's going to get fucking destroyed, basically, when it's all said and done. And we're going to start back at square one when it's all said and done then. Which is a good thing, obviously. The problem is, at the same time, it might not be, because of the fact that if we go from that perspective of things, what these leftists keep trying to fucking claim all the time with the whole Handmaid's Tale stuff and all that shit like that, dude, you dumbasses are literally bringing it to fruition right now, because you are going so fucking far off the leftist cliff right now that you're sending everybody else to the other side of the fucking spectrum, basically. And the ones that were already right here are now way the fuck over here suddenly. And it's going to be people like the Mike Johnson types and stuff like that are going to bring in some fucking like Gilead kind of shit or something like that, man. By the way, for those that don't know, I've never actually watched an episode of The Handmaid's Tale at all. I just happen to like read things, like actual, books and shit. I never read the actual book it's based on either, for that matter, but like I've read like the synopsis and stuff like that on the different sites and whatnot. And yeah, so I know pretty much like the gist of what's going on with that show is what it is and what it's about. And obviously it's, it's essentially forced birthing is what it is there, because unfortunately in that kind of situation you had, I believe what it was is actually there was some kind of I'm not sure exactly what the deal was supposed to have been, but it was essentially you live in a post-apocalyptic world right now in that series that was obviously based on the book of the same name. And you basically have people who are couples, and a lot of the women can't conceive or whatever the case be for some reason or another. And so they have these chicks called handmaids who basically are forced to get pregnant and then have the child of whatever the guy is that they're under, essentially, as their handmaid is what it is there. And it's really fucking weird. It really is fucking weird in general. The funny thing about it is, though, and I say funny, but as of like, kind of the ironic thing of it is, it's obviously based on Islam and Sharia law, but of course they're not going to say that, and even the person that wrote the shit's not going to say that, because they can never actually say that shit, because if they did, guess what? You'd have some Allah Akbar motherfuckers coming over there and, fucking with a machete and shit like that. So they basically shit on Christianity and says what it is. And that's the one thing that's pissed me off for years now, honestly, is like the fact that we seriously sit here and you have Christianity being a fucking punching bag for all these cocksuckers. Yet meanwhile, you have Islam as an actual problem in this country that's trying to do exactly what these fuckers are claiming everybody else is trying to do right now. So anyway, but so yeah, going back to what this woman was saying here. She was mentioning, okay, so basically she was essentially saying free handouts here. She was saying, yeah, well, GOP people and stuff like that support causes that actually reduce abortion, sex education, strong maternity leave protections, easy to access social programs, and shocker, I guarantee she never said taxpayer, but it is taxpayer. Taxpayer funded subsidized daycare. And then she continued on and said, I remember an event I attended on behalf of my employer years ago. There were speakers from all kinds of local nonprofits. One was from a pro-life religious group who claimed to support pregnant women who might, without their support, choose abortion. In exchange for a sermon by those people, they would give the pregnant woman 8 diapers. She said, I attended a Catholic school and for years watched the parish load up folks on chartered buses to ship them to Washington, D.C. for Right to Life rallies, which was obviously, it wasn't just the Right to Life rallies, it was the actual March for Life there in Washington, D.C. She said these same folks denying. This is like a weird terminology, by the way. I've never actually heard that word before. And apparently what it means is it was do something that one considers to be beneath one's dignity and then consider to give something or condescend to give something. So basically it's like giving them diapers is what it is then. To pregnant women and calling it support, said, will they ever make the leap to actually supporting women, or is this the part where the timeline when they finally go ahead and admit they absolutely do not care about women's well-being, which is an absolute lie, by the way. The fucking sick fuckers who are actually getting abortions don't care about that shit because, shocker, every single child that is conceived at the moment of birth is born female in contraception. They start out female every single time. They're not actually, I'm sorry, I said born. They're not actually born female every single time. They are conceived and they start out from the embryo as female. It's at one point in the actual, I believe it's first trimester, there's what it is, where you have them eventually is when you're, it's like the XXXY chromosome stuff comes into place and you basically either stay a chick or you become a dude is what it is then. And then that's the whole thing with the, biology. Let's get into biology front here. That's the entire thing with the whole clitoris. If you look at a chick's clit, and a lot of these people that claim to be transgender males and stuff like that, when they start getting on the testosterone and stuff like that, their clit kind of looks like a dick. And that's the reason, because it actually, in the womb, when you go from being a chick to a dude, in that process, that's where your fucking cock comes from. It's from the actual clitoris. And then, of course, your, stuff all, your like nuts drop out and stuff like that. And it becomes like, what would be like the gash hole there is what it is there. Sort of just like becomes like your taint essentially. So again, crude terminology, but it's all good, man. So anyway, basic biology facts, by the way. So anyway, the thing about this is too, and this is what I think is interesting about this woman that said this whole thing, because you go down a couple things here. So you had one person say, sorry, can't stop laughing at the idea of them being anything remotely doing anything that's remotely sensible. And then the person said, I know it's a fantasy. I'm always, it looks like she was trying to say, I'm gonna be, but it's like, I'm a be. Always thought that there was anyone with a single brain cell involved in the pro-life movement, they'd eventually move to this decision. They could actually get support from outside their movement if they did that. Okay, so what she's basically saying is force taxpayers to pay for fucking free shit and be a welfare queen. That's essentially what she's talking about right there, dude. Legitimately. So, again, this goes back to what I talked about here in the actual title of this episode. Pregnancy contracts. Okay, I have no problem with doing taxpayer-funded stuff like that, as long as you, lady, and any other female in this state right now, would be willing to sign a pregnancy contract. And what is that pregnancy contract in detail? It's basically this. With the exception of a miscarriage, which has to be confirmed by at least 2 doctors in the state of Ohio that you actually had a miscarriage legitimately, and it wasn't just some fucking, bullshit where you like forced a miscarriage to happen is what it was there. Anything outside of that becomes a criminal act, by the way, after the fact. So yeah, if you have a natural miscarriage, you're good to go. You don't have to do whatever then. However, with the pregnancy contract, it goes like this. You get the subsidized stuff, you get the subsidized possible daycare, everything else like that. However, If you choose at any point in that pregnancy to have an abortion for any reason that is not considered a miscarriage, guess what? Every single dollar that you've now taken in taxpayer money, you are now on the hook for. And on top of that, you can now be charged criminally with murder of a child. Most will never sign this because of that last part of it. And that's exactly what the point is, though. It's like, hey, you want to fuck around, bitches? You want to sit here and fucking play games? You want to sit here and fucking fuck around with human life? That's cool. We're going to make consequences for your fucking actions. So yeah, you want to do this shit? Okay, then let's have fucking pregnancy contracts across the board right now. You get X amount of help from the fucking people, X amount of help from the state, etc. In exchange, you're going to have this child and you're going to raise that child. And if you choose to abort that child at any time, now you're charged criminally. Now you're on the hook for a bunch of money that you've taken, those taxpayer funds and stuff like that, to pay that back to the actual people then. So, anyway, who knows if it will actually work or not. That being said, I'm just fucking sick and tired of these people entirely, dude. If it was up to me, honestly, right now, I would say we just split this country in half. We start, clicking off different states and stuff like that as different blocks and things like that. Like, basically, it'd be like, California, Washington State, Oregon, etc. Would then be these leftist hellholes is what it is right there. Like, just this little blockage of, like, left crap is what it is there. And then you'd have a bunch of other states, Ohio, Kentucky, etc., around us here is what it is. We'd all be a bunch of pro-life states. Bunch of pro-2A states for that matter as well in that one. Pretty much anything that's a constitutional carry state right now would also be considered a pro-life state in the situation. And you would basically have a shift then, where it would be, okay, we have the legal right in this red state to kill all these leftists out of our fucking state entirely and send them off to a different state then. And at the same time, the people in these left states can kick out the right-wingers and stuff like that, or even the centrists for that matter. Or they have the ability to move is what it would be then, and they could come over to our state or whatever the case be. And then we just have a thing where we're just cool right now for a time period in history. I think that's the problem right now, though. People don't want to go down that road. People don't want to go down that route because it would actually mean doing something. It would actually mean putting your foot to the ground and actually taking a fucking stand and making a line in the damn sand and actually sticking to it is what it is then. So, and what really pisses me off, actually, there was a bunch of people, because I know Black Conservative Perspective was talking about this today as well. There was a bunch of fucking people in his stream earlier that were saying some bullshit about, like, oh, anybody that's tied to if you're going to be a Republican running for office, don't ever tie yourself to abortion at all, just other fucking issues. Fuck you, man. I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want, bitch, because guess what? Freedom of speech and freedom of religion, motherfuckers. First Amendment of the Constitution, something y'all probably never even read for that matter. So, yeah, needless to say, I'm going to go fucking scorched earth on this one, man. Like I said, I'm still looking into contacting some people right now. Honestly, I put out enough feelers right now where I'm trying to get them to contact me right now. But I have no idea what's actually going on right now. I called up my state rep today and I was like, hey, if you got, like, because I feel like the city of Ohio is probably going to sue over this whole thing. And I was like, hey, if you guys need actual plaintiffs from the state right now, like, please contact me in my group is what it is, because I can get you with several people besides myself. And we would definitely be the plaintiffs for this whole situation then, to sue the fuck out of all these Planned Parenthood orgs and stuff like that is what it is, man. That were under that reproductive rights group is what it was. All the Soros fucking proxies, etc. there, because that's what these people need to be, man. It's like this is the thing that bothers the hell out of me right now, right? You've had the left, you've had Bloomberg types and stuff like that realize about a decade or so ago, maybe 15 years back or so now, maybe a little bit longer than that for that matter. But yeah, they realized about probably a decade and a half ago, give or take, that lawfare was a thing. And for those who don't know what lawfare is, it's basically suing people over various bullshit is what it is. It's why every time there's a mass shooting or something like that, that's like, some school shootings preventable and stuff like that, if the Gun-Free School Zones Act in 1990 didn't exist. Bloomberg now tries to sue gun manufacturers and ammo manufacturers and mag manufacturers, etc. It's why they have the people that are some of the survivors of Dayton here 4 years ago. They're not trying to sue, I believe it's KCI, over the magazine that was used in that massacre, even though the fucking piece of shit who used the fucking gun should have been a prohibited person in the state of Ohio and should have probably been in our prison system for that matter, because he himself was a fucking leftist nut with ties to Antifa and BLM terrorism, and legitimately, as I've said many times, I'll say it again right now, back in 2012, 7 fucking years before the massacre happened, dude was making rape and kill lists in his fucking high school, and even the student body was like, why the fuck is this guy back in our school a day or two later? Why is he not sitting in a fucking jail cell right now? And shocker, it's because money talks and bullshit walks, and when you have a fucking bunch of parents with a big-ass fucking wallet that say, hey, Mr. fucking officer man, Mr. Sheriff, Mr. Police Chief, whatever the fuck it is, how much is it going to cost for your re-election campaign, bro? Oh, here's a big old fat stack of fucking cash in an envelope, bitch. You gonna drop charge against my son, right? Yep. And that's how they fucking did it, by the way. And that's why that son of a bitch was even sitting out free and not a prohibited person in the state of Ohio. Because he was never prosecuted for those fucking crimes, is what it was, dude. As a juvenile, which should have actually been adult charges at that point in 2012. So, anyway. But yeah, the entire point of the matter is a bunch of shit entirely, dude. And I'm so fucking sick and tired of the left at this point, honestly. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw... I think what's probably happening right now is you got people like Protect Women Ohio, maybe Center for Virtue, Christian Virtue, probably Pro-Life Ohio, etc. there. I think that's what that one's called. Or maybe it's Rights Life Ohio. Yeah, I think it's Rights Life Ohio. Like all these different ones that are all pro-life organizations and stuff like that. I think they're probably getting their ducks in a row right now. And it'll be either tomorrow or Friday at some point, maybe next Monday, even for that matter, depending how fast they can get the lawyers on the phone and start filing stuff. Is what it'll be then. But yeah, I assume it's either going to be the end of this week, early next week. We're going to start seeing motions and lawsuits being filed over this whole piece of shit legislation. So yeah, and that's the thing. And then you got obviously Biden's bitch ass taking a false victory lap, is what it is. There being all like, oh yeah, fucking Ohioans, he did the right thing, and oh yeah, woman's right to choose, and a fucking potato head piece of shit, dementia fuckboy, pedophile, cocksucker, cunt, Biden, who doesn't know what the fuck he is any time of the day is what it is, because he's a goddamn old sack of shit pedo who is so fucking dementiaed out right now. He's literally fucking gone in the head, man. Legitimately. The man cannot string a sentence together in his fucking life to save his fucking life. He literally had, in the 1990s, brain surgery where chunks of his fucking brain were removed with basically an ice cream scooper because he had a bunch of aneurysms in his head that if they hadn't removed those pieces of his brain matter, it would have killed him with an aneurysm. So you basically have these dead spots, what used to be brain matter, though, it's now a dead zone, where you have a neuron firing to it and nothing responding back is what it is. That's why he freezes up all the time. It's why he has fucking, various things. It's why he's telling all these weird old creepy ass stories about fucking leg hair and fucking being a lifeguard and rusty razors and fucking chains and shit like that. And it's like, what the fuck, old man? And the worst part of it is, right, it's fucking elder abuse, for God's sakes. Like, why is Jill Biden, his wife, and why is the rest of the fucking Democrats like Obama, stuff like that, not being charged with elder abuse at this point, dude? Because clearly you're abusing an old man who is so fucking far gone that he maybe has one good day on like a shitload of fucking drug cocktail for a couple of hours. And then even then, by the time he actually gets to do the fucking speech on the stage or whatever the case be, he's looking around, not even knowing where the fuck he's supposed to step off to. He's like, do I go this way? Do I go that way? Or he literally will sit there fucking mid-speech and just walk off a fucking stage, for God's sakes. And it's like, what the fuck, man? And people wonder why America's the laughing stock of the fucking world at this point. With this fucking cheater fucking piece of shit cunt in power right now. Like, goddamn, bro. I'm so infuriated, man. I really am. It's just so frustrating. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, for those wondering. Mostly it was because I was going off on leftists all day, is what it was after last night's chat with Honda and them, and then after my chat about 1 a.m. or so with Corey and Shot Red, and then basically all through this morning here, going off of people and stuff like that. And then eventually I ended up passing out in front of my computer again for a couple hours, and then woke up, did some stuff, went out and ran a couple errands there, and then came back home. So I'll tell you what, man, the temperature drop in this state right now has gotten way the fuck cold recently. Like we are way cold right now. I think we dropped about 15 to 20 degrees this morning because it went from like almost 67 or something like that yesterday to like 40-ish degrees a day or something. I think it was like 41, 42, something like that. So it was like 26, 27 degree drop or something. So yeah, fucking crazy. So we're definitely having winter setting right now, right before Thanksgiving here, which, you know, the one thing that saddened me the most, honestly, was there were some people I saw on Facebook last night that I'm friends with that are extended family friends is what it is there, who I thought were actually pro-life, or at least, you know, sort of middle of the road is what it was. And these people went hardcore left for issue 1, and I'm just like, Jesus fucking good. And the worst thing is, it's like, they have children. Like, they are mothers to a bunch of kids, man. And it's like, what is the matter with you, girl? Come on. Like, seriously. I just feel like it's so much corruption is what it is, man. And maybe it is something in the fucking water supply of these major cities where these people live at right now. You know, I mean, it would make sense, truthfully speaking. You know, you got that drug cocktail of whatever the fuck's in the system now is what it is, between, like, you know, extra estrogen, various other crap in the systems there. You know, everything else is not, all the forever chemicals that are not able to be processed out of the fucking water that they keep repurposing and stuff like that for drinking water. That's all pee eventually. So, not to mention the heavy metal levels in it, like, you know, lead and everything else like that from old ass pipes that never be able to repair and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's just, it just blows me away, man. And that's before you add in stuff like, you know, jibbity jabs and stuff like that too, in the mix of, like, you know, side effects of that shit. So anyway, who the fuck knows though? But yeah, that being said, I think it's pretty much where we're at for the day though. Like I said, I'll be back here in a couple days. So I will look a couple comments here though, is what it is. Let's see what we got here now. Yeah, I saw that one. I was actually did I grab that up to talk about? Actually, I think I did. Now I'm thinking about it. Oh yeah. That was two things I want to talk about with Virginia actually. So you got where's that now? Yeah, it was a porn streamer. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, porn streamer, Democrat, Susanna Gibson, who's a Moms and Man action cunt, by the way, loses in tight Virginia House race. Sorry, I couldn't help but laugh about the tight thing there, because obviously, you know, we're talking about her doing porn and shit like that with her husband and whatnot. You know, the funny thing is that, like, she actually looks decent in this picture right here, man. But I'll tell you what, like, having watched that fucking, the other thing with her and stuff in it, man, like, she had some fucked up tan going on, man, where she was not tan properly. And she just looked like god awful, and like she looked way the fuck older than she did in this picture here right now. So, and the other one we'll talk about, which is basically the fall of Rome and Sodom and Gomorrah and stuff like that going on in this nation right now, which is back in I believe it was 2018 midterms. You had this fucking nut job getting to power for the first time, which is Danica Rome becomes first transgender elected into state senate in the South, aka Virginia, which really Virginia is not really the South per se. Or I guess maybe technically it would be, because was it one of the southern states that he did during the original Civil War? I think maybe it was. Yes, Danica Rome won a Virginia Senate seat on Tuesday, the first openly transgender candidate to win a Senate seat in the southern state. What a fucking joke, dude. This, by the way, pretty fucking sure that this asshole has direct ties to Antifa terrorism. Again, why the fuck are they still in power right now when they should be in prison right now? Like, that's really the problem entirely, dude, is that we don't have honor disqualification ever see power in this country right now. Because if we had auto DQs on power right now, whether it be people that are already in office being kicked out of office because of that shit or whatever the case be, or whether it be when they're running for office and they're doing unconstitutional shit like attacking gun rights and attacking life and stuff like that with their political platforms, and they're admitting they're going to be an oath breaker when they get in office and take oaths and stuff like that. Yeah, kick them out of the fucking race entirely. Then it's not that hard, bro. Seriously. So yeah, let's go back here. So we got dickheads in office have put more gun control, BS, background checks, and background checks and license to purchase firearms. They can screw. So okay, I'm not sure if that's a federal thing or a state thing right now. Kill switch. Oh yeah, I heard about this one. The kill switches in the vehicles for I think it's every vehicle after 2026 or whatever. Tom Massey actually does a good job on that one because he's fighting against that shit right now. Actually, I saw that one this morning. I'm just like, you know what? Maybe we should just get the Thanos glove and hit the kill switch at this point, man. Just be like, done. I kid. But not really, though, honestly. Like, we'd be much better off if we actually didn't have the fucking Thanos glove right now. So, anyway. I was thinking about this morning when I was kind of sleep deprived a little bit. And, there's always been that talk of, like, 2012 and, like, the end of the world and stuff like that. I'm almost wondering if, like, 11 years ago, the world didn't end for real, and we're just living in, like, some fucking, like, purgatory side dimension or whatever the case be right now for the last 11 years. The thing about that is it would actually make logical sense if we were, because it would explain so much shit going on right now, whether it be the continued attacks on human life, whether it be the demonic sacrifice shit by the left, whether it be the Satanist, open Satanism stuff by the left, whether it be the fucking the transgender push garbage, the trying to transition kids and stuff like that all the time, attacks on gun rights, attacks on just everything, basically. So, like, it would actually make logical sense from that perspective of things, and it would basically be like it would almost be like, I almost want to say it would be sort of like there was a sort of second coming of Jesus Christ that happened. Nobody knew it happened. And then those of us that were left behind or whatever the case be, with like a rapture of some kind or whatever, this is like our redemption arc in like some pocket dimension, purgatory place or whatever the case be, where it's like, can this person get through this on their own? Can they go down that road, whatever the case be? Who the hell knows, man? Or it might just be me. Let's just think it's hard as what it is right now. But yeah, like there's been a lot of stuff I've noticed recently in my own life, like, and it could be like the deja vu from kind of dreaming and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm definitely living in a time loop right now for the last 3 to 5 years right now, where it just seems like a lot of stuff keeps repeating over and over again. And it's almost like I like figure it out or something like that. And then it's like the puppet masters, if you will, are like click, and it like flips back to like sort of like the what was that movie? Groundhog Day, where the guy basically wakes up and it's just like, Sonny and Cher song on the fucking radio all the time and stuff like that. It's like he almost gets it, but then he doesn't have time to get it or whatever the case being, that just resets over his time or whatever. Then it'd be something similar to that kind of deal almost. So maybe not. I don't know. Because there's obviously things that seem to have changed now, where it's almost like it's like, and I say like 3 to 5 years, give or take, because originally I thought it was like a year or two, but it seems like it's more expansive than that if it actually is what I'm living in right now with a time loop and stuff like that. So I don't know. But yeah. It like enough is enough already, man. Like it's just becoming too much anymore. So either way, I'm definitely going to get into a situation here pretty soon. Next couple of days is what it is, and talk with some people and potentially get a hold of some groups that can actually fund some lawyers for me. Is what it'll be then, hopefully, or at least me jumping on one of their cases or whatever the case be, and that's just all working together to basically get this issue 1 bullshit denied entirely before the 30-day thing is up right now. And it would become actual law of the land then. So, anyway. So, what was that one? Yeah, that would be an interesting one actually. If we did something where it was like, okay, you could have abortion at any time, even want to burst stuff, whatever the case be. Meanwhile, we get like every gun right that we always wanted, like every gun law that's anti-gun and shit like that's now fucking gone forever. Yeah, they would never do that though, because again, it goes back to something with Democrats in particularly, and also to a lesser extent the rhinos and the Republican Party and stuff like that. It's always about control. It's who can control what. It's them trying to act like they have the power to do anything when they, in reality, literally the founding documents of this country is the God-given rights that we have as our natural rights the moment of our fucking births is what it is. And it's stuff that the government cannot take away from us. In fact, it's stuff that we tell the government to go fuck themselves on. It's like, no, you cannot take away my freedom of speech, my freedom of the press, my freedom of, religion, my right to keep and bear arms, etc., right to a speedy trial, stuff like that. And the thing is, too, though, the worst part of it is a lot of that stuff's being restricted right now, even for especially people that were busted out January 6th and stuff like that. It's like right to speedy trial, my ass, dude. Like, these people have been sitting in fucking solitary confinement in most cases in federal prison cells someplace for 2 fucking years plus now, and still nothing. Still no court date, even though they would have literally gotten maybe like 6 months, if even that long, for just like simple trespassing and shit. To the point where now you had people kill themselves over the whole thing. It's just insane, man. It really is. Like, it's just fucking psychotic. So, anyway. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, where we're at now. Yeah, the background check things and whatnot. I know there was that thing with Elizabeth Warren the other day where she was talking about, what was it? It was supposed to be bulk ammo buys. It was her and that Robert Garcia guy, who doesn't know who Robert Garcia is. Pretty sure that Robert Garcia was the douchebag from California, who, by the way, isn't even technically a congressman, because in order to be a congressman, you have to swear an oath to the Constitution, motherfucker, something you did not do, asshole, because you swore an oath on a fucking Action Comics #1, you fucking dick stain. So yeah, get the fuck out of office, Robert Garcia, you piece of shit. Anything that motherfucker's on as a piece of legislation, it should be null and void at this point, honestly, dude, just because of that alone right now. So anyway, but yeah, that being said, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow for next episode of Buckshot Thursday. We'll talk about one county, one rep here in Ohio. We'll also talk about some other stuff too, for that matter. That'll probably be like the first 15 minutes or so of the show, or some 15-minute segment in the show, or whatever the case be. And then we'll mention some like 2A stuff as well, because obviously it's Buckshot Thursday, got to talk about some things. So I'll probably bring some bearing arm stories to the table if that'll be the case then. And then we'll, I don't know if Corey will be here or not then, but hopefully he is, and then we can just bullshit what it is then. And then we'll obviously be on for Freedom Friday, and then we'll have both of those will be around the 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time period. And then we'll have Stand Your Ground Saturday, which will be probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock, give or take. It all depends on when Matthew, aka Never Enough Ammo, decides to finish up his geek chat that night, because he always goes like around, I think last Saturday he went like 10:15, 10:30, something like that. And the thing is, obviously, a lot of the guys in that panel will sit there in the back chat and bullshit for, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is there. That's why I tend not to put it like right after that chat. I tend to give them a little bit of time so they can shoot the shit or whatever the case be, and then be like, hey, if you guys want to make your way over here, like 20 minutes later, like, I'll be ready to go is what it is then. So, yeah, it'll probably be like 10:45 or so, would be my guess, honestly, on that night. But, yeah, I'm going to, I know we can't really talk about the, stuff in Nashville is what it is there, so I don't really want to bring that up other than that, just mentioning the word Nashville. So I don't plan on talking about that at all anytime soon. If we could do a Rumble only chat, I would love to do that, honestly. I'll be the only thing we talk about at that point, honestly. But yeah, I don't want to get channel dinged is what it is right now. So even though it's technically freedom of speech, dude, it's like we should be able to talk about the shit, because again, it needs to be talked about is what it is. One thing I will say about that actually is that both Justin Jones and Justin Pearson need to finally be expelled legitimately from the Tennessee General Assembly and arrested for the felony rioting that both of these pieces of shit committed during the 2020 riots 3.5 years ago. Or not quite 3.5 years ago, about 3 years. Well, yeah, I guess it would be about 3.5 years ago now, because I want to say May was about almost 6 months ago now. So, yeah, about 3.5 years ago, give or take. So, anyway. Yeah, that being said, that's where we're at for the day, though. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you all on the next one. Have a great night, and always be carrying one in the chamber. Because you know what's going to happen? I know DOD put some stuff out about today. It was supposed to be like some kind of crazy ass massacre stuff in all these different states and major cities and stuff. So I don't know if that actually happened or not. I know one thing happened in Texas, which was basically it was some city in Texas or whatever the case be had some kind of explosion happen at its some kind of plant or something there. So I don't know if that was part of the terrorist attack stuff or not. So if I get yeah, sorry, mush mouth. If I get any more information about that situation though, there in Texas, that'll be something that's discussed tomorrow during Buckshot Thursdays stream. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. Like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this. Always carry one in the chamber. Always be ready to roll. Always be your own first responder, man, because the cops are not going to be there for you. You know, if a massacre happens, you would have to be the one to stop it in the story. So, later, y'all. Have a good one.